sure to know because I'll be screaming.
And since we arrived in Melbourne, it's been a lovely British style temperature. They are, of course, at the start of their autumn.
End of autumn, really?
End of autumn.
Or middle of autumn, sorry.
No, it's
like their October.
Yeah, right, okay. No need to be picky now.
So, just gotta go.
And we're obviously going the other way in terms of seasons, so we'll be going into their winter, which should be a nice 10 to 15 degrees, which is absolutely perfect. My perfect type of temperature. Shame I didn't bring any winter coats with me in my bag. Would have loved to have shown them off to the Australian public.
Can't wait to wear my green cargos every day. My only long trousers.
Brilliant.
And my one hoodie and one raincoat. I guess I have to alternate between them.
Yeah. So back to the hostel just for the second that we were at. It had by far the best kitchen I've ever seen in a hotel or hostel accommodation. It was like 4 banks of 2 sets of stoves, which could have about 50 people cooking at the same time, 2 air fryers, 2 sandwich or toasty makers, a grill, like a rolling grill. Which
didn't have an oven though, did it?
Pretty cool. No ovens, obviously, because they're trying to save electricity here. If you've got 10 people using the oven at the same time, can you imagine how much electricity there would be? And all of the hobs were like those. They weren't gas hobs. They were those slow burner ones that take a while to light to get hot, which is not a problem because
they got the money to install some solar panels on the roof.
Yeah,
the only problem, wind turbine.
Yeah, a wind turbine on the roof.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Practically not a good idea.
Of course, it's a great idea. It's more windy up top.
Yeah, but I'm assuming it's probably quite heavy to have a wind turbine on top of the roof.
Airlift it. I don't know. Yeah, good point. Or just assemble it up top.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a big one though.
So anyway, we were staying on the 8th floor of this high-rise building. Wi-Fi didn't work, which is a big no-no. And if you've got 250 odd guests staying at one time, you need that Wi-Fi to work because otherwise people are going to leave. They're going to go to other places. They're not going to enjoy it. But part of us thought that having that many people around at one time was quite intimidating, and interacting with strangers is difficult at some points for snowflakes, as one of my friends would call our generation. And so having that many people can be quite daunting. So we have relocated, just because we were right in the middle of the city, and it didn't really feel like Melbourne. It almost just felt like another city that we could go to. So we've gone to the district of St Kilda, which is where we are at the moment. Also, one of the AFL teams we went to go watch last Thursday. They were victorious against Collingwood, quite comprehensively as well. But this area, we have a friend who stays in the area, and we went for a few drinks before we met up with her on the Thursday, and we really liked the sense of it. It's very relaxing. It's right by the beach as well, so it's like a 15-minute walk from our hostel to the beach. Not much of a beach, not quite Bournemouth Beach, obviously, but it's still lovely. And the weather at the moment, absolutely fantastic, folks. It's currently 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Good Friday, so happy Good Friday to you all. As we're continuing this episode, it's also the 21st episode of the Great Unknown Audio Show, so thank you to all of you who have stuck along from the start or come along some way through and have retained your faith to us as we continue our travels around the world. So back to St Kilda. From what we've seen of it so far, it's a very nice neighbourhood. And also, the hostel we're staying at the moment, we like it very much. The bar that's connected to the bottom serves the cheapest pint that I've ever heard of. Between 4 and 5 p.m. every single day, you can get well, let's just distinguish this.
2 pints.
Yeah,
it's a
jug, which it's the equivalent of 2 pints in Australian language, for $5. So 2 pints for $5. Remember that 2-to-1 Australian currency ratio means that it's basically £2.50 for 2 pints, or £1.25 for 1 pint. no matter how you want to see it, which is absolutely fantastic for a whole hour. There's no limits to how many jugs you can get, but you can only have one at a time. So our aim for Good Friday between 4 and 5, so in about 45 minutes, which is why my voice is getting a little bit excited at this moment because we're not that far away, is to see how many jugs we can get through in the hour before we continue our Good Friday celebrations, probably going to another establishment and enjoying another happy hour somewhere else, and then another happy hour, and then another happy hour. Not to say that
every hour is happy hour.
Every hour is happy hour when you're in Melbourne, of course, but having strong alcoholic tendencies is not in the repertoire, but if you're going to indulge, you may as well indulge properly, as no one has quoted before.
Oh, this is sublime.
So we're currently at the Botanical Gardens of St Kilda. Nick has decided to take his shirt off and start sunbathing. He has his wireless microphone currently in between his two man boobs, so his voice can still resonate and gleam in the sunshine.
It's in that creek between the two pecs.
Yeah.
Two muscles that.
When you flex those big chest muscles together, the mic should just pop up.
There you go.
Yeah.
You would have heard that on the audio, you listeners. So
yeah.
There's proof.
You'll be happy to know that Nick is still continuing to do his press-ups from time to time. I'm expecting him to give everyone a show here in the next 15 minutes or so. Perfect conditions for it, and he is in his sports shorts as well, so no better time, mate. And so whilst we've been here for the last week, 10 days now, isn't it? 10 days. I'm so sorry it's been so long since we've briefed you on what's been going on. I have made a few observations so far about, we were looking this up because we thought that people from Melbourne were called Melbourneites, but it actually turns out that when Nick was doing some online research that they are known as Melburnians.
Burnians.
Huh?
Oh, wait, it's Melbournians.
Melbourne,
Melbourne, yeah.
Melbourne.
No, it's spelled
Melburnians.
Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah, Melburnians.
Yeah, it's not going to be Melbournians.
Might as well, though. Sounds boring, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Melbourneites.
Prefer Melbourneites a lot more. And so, some observations to keep you interested in what some of the people are like here. I've noticed that a lot of the blokes, I probably due to the amount of rugby and AFL they played in their upbringings, have very big lower halves, meaning that, like myself, they have somewhat of a waddle when they walk, which basically means that they kind of point their feet out a bit whilst they're moving to avoid chafing in the groin area. And I've been told by a number of people back in the UK, close friends mainly, who have my respect enough to be honest and also know that I'm not going to react badly when they say this, is that I do have somewhat of a waddle. I would say it's quite discreet, but Nick seems to think that it's more obvious than I think. So I can really resonate with those bigger blokes, bigger Australian blokes who have the same problem, and maybe they haven't been told that, but I see no problem in a waddle. You've got to do what you've got to do to make yourself comfortable at all times. Nick doesn't have a waddle, I think. I would never be such a bad friend to tell him that he did have one.
Because I don't.
We've also seen a lot of East Asians here, of the younger generation, whether they are studying here or they have resided here, and it has a big impact on the cuisine that we've been seeing. Going in the middle of the city there, it's not necessarily a Chinatown equivalent, but there is a lot of East Asian food options to indulge in, which really doesn't add to, it's like Australians will say, oh, our food is really good because we have lots of East Asian food, but it's like English people saying that our food is really good because we have a lot of multiculturalism and stuff. That doesn't make it traditionally English, it just means that it's a cosmopolitan place where you can enjoy a number of different cuisines. We are yet to try any Australian style East Asian food, but we will at some point. We kind of have to pick our moments when going to restaurants and stuff because, like I said, it's quite expensive to eat out, and so you really have to get your money's worth. For me and Nick at least, we are going to enjoy ourselves. There's nothing worse than knowing that you've gone to a place, wasted a lot of money on food that you don't really enjoy. So you've got to do the research, and you've got to go off good recommendations and get good value for money. And obviously this has been a drastic difference in our travel so far in terms of location, environment, the people. So we've kind of left that celebrity status that we were feeling in India and Nepal. We are just not normal people here, because obviously we're very interesting folk, but we're not outsiders. We don't. No one looks at us and thinks we don't belong here or fit in, or what are our purposes here, because they have so many tourists here that it's a lot easier, for me at least, to feel like a fly on the wall and really do some good cultural journalistic observations by listening into certain conversations, hearing what other travellers are talking about, and especially when we're being surrounded by Latino travellers. So we're still trying to practice my Spanish and escuchar a la Latinos, or los Latinos, should I say. Try to listen to their conversations and see what they think about travelling to these places. There are a lot of travellers everywhere, and Nick has been on a quest to find work at the moment. He even started going door to door yesterday as a means of selling himself to certain restaurants and hotels. Nick, how did you find that experience?
Bit long. Just don't really want to be doing it, but it's not bad. People are friendly about it. Did a lot of walking though. Walked about 10 miles.
Getting those steps in.
Yeah. Guess we'll see what happens. I'm not going to panic yet. I'll panic at the end of next week. So just relax now.
Yeah, and so as you can imagine, being in a more economically viable country, we have to pick our moments to do interesting stuff and take our time to save up the money in order to be able to enjoy it to the fullest. So those opportunities to do really cool things have to be put on hold from time to time to make sure we can carry on as we're doing at the moment. Obviously, easier to do in India and Nepal, to do cooler stuff, but not to say that things that are free here are not enjoyable as well. We've also met a lot of other British tourists, some from the south, some from the north. People have been here for years, and some people have been here for weeks. So you've got a great variety of people who come to Australia. Obviously a very well trodden part. Melbourne, for those of you who are geographically incapable, is geographically inept, as some would say. It's in the south. Kind of runs along the east coast. So you can, from Melbourne, you can go up the east coast to Sydney, and then up to the Gold Coast and Adelaide. So there's plenty of places still to explore. But this might be a good spot for us to hold the fort for a few weeks or so, just so we can get away from the chaos of moving around so often and relax for a bit. Because as fun as moving around and travelling is all the time, it does take the life out of you and out of your bank account if you're not careful. So it's always important to pick your moments, like I've been saying.
I think I'm already on the 7th cat life of my bank account.
And so tonight we're going to try and enjoy our first mini pub crawl on Good Friday. We are going to watch another AFL game on Sunday, which should be extremely enjoyable with some friends that we know from back home. We were meant to go and watch our first A-League Premiership football game. Not Aussie football, obviously, proper football, tomorrow, but we've decided to hold off. There should be an opportunity to watch one in the next few weeks or so.
It's not Newcastle Jets though.
No, who former England international Emil Heskey used to play for, which is Nick's one of Nick's favourite footballers growing up, for various reasons. So that's been our little 10-day or so recap of what Melbourne's been like for us since we arrived, folks. We hope you've enjoyed listening to this one, episode 21, and we hope the 20s will be as enjoyable as our teens were.
Swinging.
You'll be sure to hear from us very soon, but for now, thank you very much for listening.